everybody, I'm Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. What's happening? Brock Bandy, good to see you. Reese, it's my girl. Proud of you tonight, Reese. Kristen Melinda, good to see you. Charlene, how are you? Neptune Lioness, glad that you're here. Hey, Loretta Hauser. Christy Wolf, Heather in the library, good to see you. Pebbles, what's happening? Squirrel Nut Zipper, just a little snot. Doesn't want to say hello, apparently. I don't know if you caught my wife's show. It was a heck of a show. Super proud of her. Marie Marion, good to see you. K Design, now this. Caroline in Canada, good to see you. Marissa Martin, how are you? I Rule, good to see you. Brock Bandy. And to all of my mods, thank you so much for all that you do. There's 128 people in here, folks. That's a full unit in a federal prison. Do me a favor and smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. We'll keep this thing going, keeping free speech alive. Whidbey Island Hippie Girl, good to see you. The Cheap Chick, what's happening? Hello, Lisa Renfro. Reese's show was great. It really was. I was unable to catch all of it because I was doing it on without Wi-Fi. Skeeter, good to see you. But they're getting very good about the schedule. I knew exactly what time it was going off. I knew exactly what time it was coming back on, and it did. Jody Smith, good to see you. Alicia Johnson, how are you? Hey, Christian. Hey, you're late, bud. You know how I feel about tardy. I'm sorry, that's funny. K Design, good to see you. All right, let's get this thing under row. Yeah, I was on lockdown, Tim Trimble, no question. So let's start with the painfully obvious. I'm not talking about, hello, Louisa. I'm not talking about the Nancy Guthrie case. But before I get into the general stuff, I want to talk about something that I've talked about on this show before. I have done shows on Wes Watson. If you don't know who Wes Watson is, when I'm done, go and hit Wes Watson and just check this guy out. He is one of those fake alpha males. You know, the guy that spends a bunch of money renting, $200,000 cars and uses the term bitches when he's referring to women. Just an absolutely reprehensible piece of crap in every way. Melanie, good to see you. One of those people that just straight hates women. Wes Lightburn, and I should point out that he's 5'8", because boy, oh boy, does he hate the fact that he's 5'8". He claims that he's 6'1" or 6'2". He's got to wear lifts about this high in his Converse All-Stars. This is a guy that is really, and I mean really insecure. But I have been saying, people go, why do you go after him? Why do you hate the guy? Who cares? Because he's a woman beater. And I talked about this early on in this guy's YouTube career because there was a woman that had already accused him of it. Well, last night, unfortunately, he beat up his girlfriend. And maybe the night before, actually. But we found out about it last night. Kevin, good to have you here. And he beat her pretty bad, which is really, really unfortunate. However, she did the right thing and went down and turned his worthless ass in. And he picked up 5 new felonies. The great news is he was already out on paper awaiting trial for an assault charge. Now he's got assault. He's got basically kidnapping, right? Holding someone against their will. This is justice, people. I'll be covering this case. He has the little man syndrome. He does. In fact, this dumb, walked up the stairs talking about how he was going to get a little kind of a thing, not realizing that there was a big piece of glass behind him. And as he walked up the stairs, hate to do it, Johnny Scoville. Yeah. This is a guy that is overcompensating. I figured you were talking about Dolly Vision. He's only 5'4". Anna. No, I'm not talking about Dolly. Hey, Buffy Summers, I'm glad that you are here. Do me a favor, everybody. Smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. So, a lot of people have said, hey, no one is talking about this general that went missing. The UFO community, I promise you, is talking about the general. If you're new to this case, I'll give you a little bit of background so that you're up to speed. This is a general. He is a retired U.S. Air Force major, right? He's Major General William Neil McCaslin. He's 68 years old, and he disappeared from his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico on February 27th, 2026. He remains missing as of the latest reports. That would be today. This is the only, this guy disappeared. It's another one of those vanishing acts that is sort of reminiscent. Hello, Ann from Mass. Pebbles, good to see you. Wes Lightburn, what's happening? It literally is another one of those poof. I mean, this guy did a Houdini. He was there 1 second and gone the next. Yeah, didn't realize he was that old. Here's the thing about him. Well, let me finish this up. The Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office is working on this case. So is the FBI. They've brought in everybody. Just Joan, good to see you. There's a lot of people out looking for this guy. He's 5'11", weighs about 160 pounds, which at 68 means this dude's in really good shape. And we're going to get into that too. Sharon Z, how are you? He has white hair, blue eyes. He is a very experienced hiker and an avid outdoorsman. He's described by investigators as highly intelligent, highly capable, and mentally sharp at the time of the disappearance. There are people that are going to question that because, hey, Maisie Shiloh, I'm glad you're here. Because there have been some reports that he said he was experiencing brain fog. I'm experiencing brain fog, right? As you get older, that kind of happens. Ryan Smith, good to see you. This happens to be one of those things. Hey, Lori, where I think that they said this because it was going to get him more attention on the silver alert, right? The alerts that they put out for people that are missing. The general ran off with Nancy Guthrie. They're staying with Jimmy Hoffa. Cowboy logic, that's not bad logic. That would wrap all of this up. When they say that this guy is an avid outdoorsman, he is an avid outdoorsman. This guy runs regularly. Hey, Jeannie Hansen, he's in great shape. I saw him on skis, and the guy was skiing on cross-country skis. And if you've ever done cross-country, they don't have metal edges. They're very difficult to carve turns with. And this guy was shredding. I mean, he's got mad game. He's a very, very talented skier. He's in amazing shape. And as the guy that runs the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department, he said, yeah, it is cluster FU. It is absolute BS. They just wanted to be able to, because if when the gray alerts go on, if the person is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, it ups how much they push that. So I think that they were playing the game. But the Bernalillo County Sheriff's guy that comes out and does the press conferences said, make no mistake, if he was here right now, he would be the smartest man in the room. And when you hear this guy's curriculum vitae, he is absolutely gifted mentally. This guy is a genius, probably times a bunch. Bless you and Tommy Reese. Today, you was powerful. Thank you, B. Rose. She really was. She was killing it. Hold on one second, folks. I have a cat issue. All right, sorry about that. Squirrel Nut Zipper is on one tonight because of her evil little white sister. But this is not a guy that he's not dim-witted. He's not suffering from brain fog in the traditional sense of the word. Does he believe that he's slowing down? I'm sure of it, right? He's not. Hey, Lori, how are you? Thank you so much, Lori, for all the support. I really appreciate you more than you could possibly know. Johnny Scoville said he does too. Of course, you can't trust him. I'm kidding. Reese, I love how real you are. So hard to find people like that. You looked beautiful too, my friend. Yeah, I thought she looked pretty hot today. I really have a thing about her wearing black. That's her. That's my wife, Relatable Reese. If you've never gone over there and hit subscribe, you're missing out on one of the greatest experiences on YouTube. Aspire to inspire. Good to see you. Heavenly Heather Lane. Glad that you are here. He left on foot, right? He disappeared on February 27th around 11 to 11:10 a.m. At or near his residence on Quail Run Court in Northeast Albuquerque. His wife, Susan McCaslin Wilkerson, saw him before leaving for a medical appointment and returned less than an hour later to find him gone. He left on foot, so no vehicle reported missing. Items left behind at the home: his phone, his prescription glasses, and wearable devices, which he usually takes on him if he goes hiking, right? He's also a runner. And people that run don't leave without watches. They tend to be hyper-focused on it. Now, I don't mean guys that go out and run a half a mile or whatever. But serious runners are timing themselves, right? Johnny Scoville ran a marathon, and it was always like, how fast am I running each mile? How far did I cover in this period of time? And they're usually really on their watches or their wearable devices. The fact that he didn't bring any of that, I find very, very odd, makes this case a little bit stranger. Now, items that are missing or unaccounted for. This is also fascinating. His wallet is missing, right? It's unaccounted for. A .38 caliber revolver with a leather holster and a red backpack are all missing. Now, they have not released whether or not when this guy goes up into the mountains, is he bringing his piece? No one has said anything about that. Maybe this is standard operating procedure for him. I think if that were the case, maybe. Kevin, thank you. I agree. Maybe it's one of these things that he just doesn't go out without a gun. Johnny Scoville says maybe he was abducted, and boy, we're gonna hear more of that. Later on in the investigation, they found a gray U.S. Air Force sweatshirt that was found about 1.25 miles east of the home on March 7th. The family could not confirm it was his. A green shirt and hiking boots were located at his second home in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. They issued a silver alert shortly after the disappearance, which is still active. It was based on earlier information that he had previously reported mental fog, reasons he stepped down from some post-retirement roles. Issued out of caution to gain public attention, guaranteed. Agencies involved, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, they're taking the lead on this. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting how different places handle this. Hey, Pete Taylor. Hey, Don. They make it very clear we're in control. However, they have absolutely brought in the FBI, who are assisting with tools and tactics. The New Mexico State Police Search and Rescue, along with, are you ready? Volunteer teams. Wow. Right? Why doesn't that happen in Tucson, Arizona? But they have done unbelievable amounts of searching for this guy. They canvassed hundreds of homes and businesses using drones and thermal imagery on drones. They've been hindered by unseasonably warm spring weather. Helicopters, canine dogs, reviews of dozens and dozens of tips, surveillance videos. Residents in the area, including near Sandia Mountain foothills, have been asked to check home security cameras from February 27th onward. You know what else they put in this? And you guys can weigh in on this when I start interacting with you guys. But they said they wanted everybody to check all of their cameras and all of this stuff, and to look for any GoPro stuff as well. Does that seem really odd to you? Because to me, that seems really odd. Like, hey, yeah, make sure you check your cameras, any of the Ring cams, any of that, and any GoPros. That to me seems somewhat specific. Made me a little bit uncomfortable. As of today, he's still missing. No confirmed sightings. A press conference was held yesterday with no resolution. No evidence of foul play has been found. Now let's talk about this guy's career, because he's a badass. There's no other way to put it. This guy's a badass. He graduated the Air Force Academy in 1979 and earned a PhD in astronomical engineering from MIT. Did you catch that, Johnny Scoville? He's dim-witted, apparently. Got a PhD from MIT, right? That's gangster. So this is Dr., right? McCaslin. He was the chief engineer on the Department of Defense's Global Positioning System, the GPS. He was also program director for the Space-Based Laser Project Office. Director of Special Programs at the Pentagon, worked with National Reconnaissance Office, the NRO. He commanded the Phillips Research Site and Air Force Research Laboratory at Kirkland Air Force Base in New Mexico. Also, commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, overseeing more than $4.4 billion in research and development. $4.4 billion. Had 10,000 plus personnel that was working under him. He retired in 2013. This is where it gets odd. Wright-Patterson was home to Project Blue Book, the Air Force official USA UFO investigation program from 1947 to 1969, and has long been the subject of public rumors about classified aerospace research, including unsubstantiated claims of Roswell-related material, though the Air Force has repeatedly denied storing extraterrestrial debris. His wife made a very unusual statement, and I'm going to get to it in a second, but for those people who are into wearing tinfoil hats occasionally, right? And I do from time to time don a tinfoil hat. Hey, look at this. Looking fantastic in green. Thank you, Heidster. I really, really appreciate that. That is awesome. Keeping free speech alive and looking green at the same time. Everybody looks better in green. It's just a theory I have, but I'm sticking with it. See, shortly after retiring, McCaslin served as an unpaid consultant by his choice. They offered him money. To musician Tom DeLonge. You know who that is? Blink, what is it? Blink what? Blink 182. Thank you. And to the Stars Academy on Military and Technical Scientific Matters. DeLonge left rock and roll kind of at his peak because he's into UFOs. Like, he wants full disclosure. It's one of those, no, I know you wear one. You're cool with the tinfoil hat. In fact, hold on a second. Don't I have a picture of you in a tinfoil hat? Hold on, because this is always fun. Oh, there she is. Well, I'll be damned. She does don a tinfoil hat from time to time. I'm sorry. It's low-hanging fruit. It really is. Don't be mad at me. But yeah, his name appeared in 2026 WikiLeaks emails concerning the Podesta files, where DeLong referred to him in connection with the Wright-Patterson and UFO-related discussions. Here's his wife's statement. Susan McCaslin Wickerson, via Facebook and public comments, said, "It is true that Neil had a brief association with the UFO community through Tom DeLong. Neil worked with Tom for a bit shortly after his Air Force retirement as a consultant. Neil does not have any special knowledge about the ET bodies and debris from the Roswell crash stored at Wright-Patterson." It's a weird-ass thing to say, isn't it? I mean, is it me? That's a weird thing to say, because it sounds to me like that stuff exists, right? It sounds to me like she was verifying that, yeah, there's debris and there's ET bodies there, but my husband doesn't have anything to do with it. And I find that somewhat fascinating. 450 of you in here, do me a favor, smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. Johnny Scoville, by the way, Johnny Scoville is 16 comments away from 500,000 comments. Relatable Reese. See, here's the thing. I don't want to out the wife, but bit of a drinking problem. She doesn't have a drinking problem, but she's silly and says things that don't make any sense. I find that to be a very fascinating thing for her to say. The disappearance occurred days after President Trump's public announcement directing the release of government UFO extraterrestrial records. And here's something that I found while researching this that I haven't seen on too many other shows. In fact, I'm not sure if I've seen it on anybody's show. I'm sure that someone else has come across this. But there was an aerospace engineer named Monica Reza, R-E-Z-A, who reportedly worked on government-funded materials project once overseen by McCaslin. She went missing in 2025. Another one of those poof. I get really, really jumpy when there are coincidences that are, just really odd. It's rare that somebody goes missing and we never see them again. For two people who work together to do that over the course of about a little over a year seems very, very odd to me. I think the fact that this guy took a gun with him or his gun is missing is very, very interesting. If he was going out to go hiking, right, which was one of the theories that people are running with, is that he is an avid outdoorsman. He goes hiking all of the time. He runs in the mountains. What if he were going to go out there, why would you take your wallet into the mountains, right, but not take a watch or any of the wearable devices that you have for technology? And this is a guy that is really really into technology. Okay, she's a drinker. You can't believe that. You just can't believe that. Although Ace of Base was a fantastic band, I think we can all agree on the fact that Ace of Base was awesome, right? No, it's not. I mean, it could be worse. Just a thought. The Bible speaks of Nephilim. Yes, they do. They speak of Nephilim in Genesis 6. Correct? I'm pretty sure if you look that up, it'll be Genesis 6. Just a thought. The Bible speaks of Nephilim. Nephilim are fallen angels that slept with the daughters of God. If President Trump says we have aliens, my guess is they are Nephilim. I think a lot of people have come to the same conclusion on that, D-Lyn, that I think what it says is pretty close to exactly what you said. The sons of God found the daughters of man attractive and slept with them. It's kind of what that whole flood was about, right? To wipe the Nephilim off of the planet. So it's he sings like the lady from Rush. It's not a lady from Rush. That's Geddy Lee. It's a man. He may sound like a lady from time to time. But weird coincidences bum me out. The fact that Donald Trump made a statement about UFO stuff, and then Hillary Clinton made a statement about UFO stuff, and they had just declassified a crapload of UFO material, but screwed it up and said that millions of files disappeared. Poof, gone. Now, they were able to then apparently find them, right? But that to me is also odd. Did you lose them in time to do some redacting and to do stuff like that? Because that, Reese is on fire. She's that's my lady. Dude sings like a lady. Yeah, a lot of truth to that. Almost 500 of you in here. Do me a favor, smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. I would really appreciate that. Coinky Dink says Ravioli. I don't like coincidences. I really don't. And when all of these things seem to happen at the same time, and then a guy that spent a lot of time working at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which if you have ever followed what happened at in New Mexico at the Roswell crash, which is sort of the launching pad for everybody that believes that we've been visited by aliens. And the reasons, there's a lot of people that go, oh, that's BS. It started because there was a newspaper article that said the United States government has captured flying saucers, right? Apparently his home did not have cameras, Pebbles. That article and that newspaper belonged to the Air Force. This wasn't printed by some BS paper. It was printed by their own paper. And then they decided to backpedal really fast. And that downed flying saucer turned into a weather balloon. So basically what looks like tin foil, right? The kind of like the balloons that you buy for someone's birthday. I never bought that at all. And I have probably read every book anyway that's ever been written on the Roswell incident, because of the fact that it is a big thing in prison. Guys are super into that. So every time I went to a new prison, they would have an entire section on Roswell. There's a fascinating book called the 48 Hours After Roswell. And it's written by some people who are, legitimate people that worked for some very large companies. And they talked about how people came in, dropped a box on the table and said, you can have anything in there for the patents. All you have to do is reverse engineer it. And he said that Velcro was in that box. He said that night vision glasses were in that box. Some of the alloys that we use in aircraft design, which we did not have prior to that, all of these things. For those who really believe this stuff, if you look at where we started in technology up to the Roswell crash, and then look at where we went from the Roswell crash to now, it's like we got supercharged. I'm not saying that proves that we captured alien craft, but it sure as hell makes for a great argument, right? It really does. Things, some of the really light alloys were metals that we had never thought of. Rue, good to see you, my friend. Tommy, I was a kid. A UFO hovered over our farm. My old man was a judge. I still like you anyway. And well respected. A colonel and a major from Wright-Patterson came and interviewed us. This was about 1970. I have had a UFO experience. I was working as a public speaker, and I was in Arizona for one of the largest UFO reportings and sightings in history. It's called the Phoenix Lights. I was in a hotel room, and my boss called downstairs and said, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" I said, "Smoking a cigarette." And he said, "Are you doing it on the balcony?" I said, "No." He goes, "You're not supposed to smoke inside." I said, "Yeah, I heard that." He said, "Go out on the balcony. You have to see this." And I went outside and watched it, and it was absolutely wild. I don't know if with the size of this audience, there's a decent chance that somebody from there saw it. But I have seen things that can't be explained. I have absolutely seen things that can't be explained. And there's a lot of people that will say, whenever that happens, what we're looking at is really, really heavy technology, right? All fallen angel knowledge shared with man is real. The Bible is true and God cannot lie. So-called aliens are demonic entities. Christine, again, very popular opinion. So what if he did find out? That he was the early stages of dementia, that he was in the early stages of dementia and didn't want to be a burden, took his gun to hurt himself and his wallet so that he could be identified. Just a thought, and a damn good one. Honest to God. I mean, if you want to critical think this, that kind of makes sense. But the way that he made it sound, or at least the way that his friends made it sound, is he just wasn't, for a person with, let's say his IQ is 180. Right? I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, let's say the guy's got an IQ of 180. If that starts to dim a little bit, I used to have have I read any of the books by Whitley Strieber? All of them. Every book that Whitley Strieber's written, I have read. He's an interesting cat. I don't know that I believe everything that Whitley says, but he is very, very interesting. You remember the Phoenix Lights. There you go. There was a UFO story that happened in Crosby, Texas in the 1970s. Yeah, that would be, I can't think of the couple's name, but it was a husband and wife, and something hovered over the top of their automobile, and The issue with that one was people are like, yeah, these stories, that woman and that man ended up with almost third-degree burns on their skin. So I don't give a crap what was over the top of that thing. They had radiation burns. Whatever it wasn't one of ours. I promise you that. If the flood killed all the Nephilim, how are they around now? Well, there have been some people that. So this is a rabbit hole, but I'm gonna go down it anyway because we're all friends here. Retired PD, you're good, man. You're good. He wanted to safely go off the grid. Don Logan could be. So I don't know if you've ever been to a museum and seen a giant. When I was a kid, Johnny Scoville and I, with our family, went on several occasions to Washington, D.C. And yes, Jeannie Hansen, I was absolutely there for that. Have I heard of L.A. Marzulli? Yeah, I will. You can't be into this and not have heard of L.A. Marzulli. Yes, I know who L.A. Marzulli is. He's fantastic. I think I'm a fan. But we went to the Smithsonian Institute, great big huge museum in Washington D.C. In fact, a bunch of museums. There's one for aerospace. There's one for like pop culture where they had Fonzie's jacket. But there was a section in there where you can go and look at giants. These were bodies that were in some cases 8 feet tall, maybe taller than that, and most of them had red beards. Right, so these giants have disappeared. There aren't any of them anywhere anymore. They're not in the Smithsonian. And this is a conspiracy things that people talk about a lot. My ex-wife, who hated all conspiracy theories, but when I had gotten out of prison, I was talking to the ex-wife and I said to her, yeah, that the Smithsonian is kind of crooked. They've been hiding all of these giants. And if you call and ask them about it, they'll say, we never had them. I was there. Johnny Scoville was there. We went there a bunch. They had them. So my wife said, that's ridiculous. I said, no, and it's not just them. It's everywhere. And she said, I can take you to one today. I said, okay. And we got in a car and we were driving on the road that takes you from Reno to Las Vegas. And there is this little kind of roadside attraction. Benny and Barney Hill. Thank you, Jeannie Hansen. That's the names. And there's like a little roadside attraction, just a crappy little pay $4 and go in and look at all of these things. But in there, they have like gold nuggets from mining out there. They have silver ore. They got a lot of stuff like that and a giant. So we pay and we go walking through there. Nothing. No giant. So my ex-wife and I walked to the front and she said, you used to have a giant in here, a really big one. She said, yeah, somebody broke in the middle of the night and stole it. How's that? And we said, they didn't take the gold, right? These are like 1 ounce gold nuggets, right? That's $24K, right? You're probably looking, right now would be about $5,400 an ounce, but they didn't steal any of that. They just went in there for the giant. So something is going on with that. Some say this is what they're hiding in Antarctica and why they go down there. Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of people that talk about how, the tinfoil hat people are big on Antarctica. But why do we have a treaty there that says nobody can do anything? There's not a treaty like that anywhere else on the planet. I'm a little freaked out by Antarctica. And there's a lot of really great stories that come out from there, including Nazi bases and pyramids that generate energy, all kinds of really rowdy stuff. Betty and Barney Hill were in New England in the 1960s. Okay, but I do believe that happened in Texas. Am I wrong on that? Pretty sure it did. Yeah, why are they getting rid of them? Because they're trying to hide evidence? Or the other theory that, didn't you say people with green eyes have something to do with the giants? Here's the interesting thing about people with green eyes. They make up a very small part of the population. But of people who say that they have had close encounters of the third kind, where there's actually like you were in contact with somebody, like 8 out of 10 of them are green-eyed, which I find really interesting, which tells you that those green-eyed people, they might just be a little alien or maybe a little evil. Except that one. Wow. Yeah, Lori, I was listening to a radio show. They started talking about it, so I got a ladder. I took my fiance in the garage with my video camera and caught the whole thing. Sent the video to the local news. Are you talking about the? Are you talking about the Phoenix Lights? So what I saw in the Phoenix Lights, I went outside on the balcony with my Marlboro Red, and my boss came running downstairs to check it out with me, and it looked like a pyramid. Like it was in the shape of almost everything else, right? It looked like our high-tech fighter jets, our stealth stuff. It very much was a delta-shaped wing, and it was flying, except it was moving really, really quickly, right? Yeah, Tommy, the Phoenix Lights on top of my garage. So when I saw it, it was very much a triangle, and it was moving in ways that you don't see aircraft move. And we watched it for a while, and I said to my boss, I think this is something that we've made in the military, right? Yeah, cowboy killers. Yep, those nail coffins. It looked like a pyramid. It's exactly what I saw, except at the very end of it, when it finally went away. So it's flying, and it's a bunch of lights, and it looked like a pyramid. And I said to my boss, I think that's just a military vehicle. And then all of the lights went in different directions. And I mean that fast. Like it just went poof, and they were gone. And he goes, what kind of plane do you think that was? Excited about this topic. Worked as a segment producer on UFO documentaries. My friends thought I was crazy. Now many don't. But Reese, I do not believe in Xenu. Well, I respect the not believing in Xenu. And how exciting. That must have been very, very cool. Personally, I'm fascinated by, they started disappearing one by one. It was insane. They literally disappeared. And what's that? Yeah, Pebbles has green-eyed lady. So does my significant other. Beautiful green eyes. Absolutely beautiful green eyes. Takes my breath away. I heard from a Chuck Meisler that he had only heard one abducted who was filled with the Holy Spirit, and that might not have been. I'll stay green eyes. You just described what I saw in 1970. No way, Cowboy Logic. How fascinating. Yeah, whatever I saw, and I was thoroughly convinced that, you know what? I mean, we have all kinds of stuff. Could the plane have been a formation of drones? Well, this is a long time ago. I mean, I don't think we had drones that did those kind of things back then, and it looked considerably bigger than that. Now, looks can be deceptive, but the speed that these things disappeared at, going in different directions, I don't think drones could do. But this was long before I had ever heard of a drone. Somebody can get me the year on it. It was in the 90s because I was working as a speaker. Rue, thank you for the support. It's a great comment, and you're keeping free speech alive. Although, you know what? If I said anything bad tonight, I haven't said false flag. I hadn't said rape. I hadn't said child molestation or child porn or any of those things. I didn't say bullet, gun, murdered, suicide. What's that? Conspiracy is close, though. No way. My mom and her friends saw a large thing with lights land in his pasture in Baytown, Texas, and then went straight up and flew off. I spent a decent amount of time in Baytown, Texas. I actually lived in Clear Lake, but the guy I got all my dope from was from Baytown. I used to go down there on the regular. You know what? I like it when they do too. John Lennon said he saw one in New York City. Yes, I do. I do. But you don't hear of military stuff for years. Correct, you don't. And that's a good point. Hold on one second. Baytown is right next to Crosby. Yes, it is. Yeah, but we're all nuts. UFOs don't exist. They're all weather balloons, Tommy. Yeah, here's the funny thing about that. So one of the books that I read about the Roswell crash, one of the people that were out there, because they brought literally a platoon out there to pick up all of the debris, because you would need that many men to pick up the debris from a weather balloon. But when they got out there, the guy said that weather balloon had dug a trench into the dirt when it crashed. Like, dug a deep trench where the thing came in. It wasn't a weather balloon. No idea what the hell it was. I'm not saying that it came from Alpha Centauri. I have no idea. But what I do know is we got horrifically bullshitted about what happened in Roswell, New Mexico. And anytime the government lies to us, there's usually a reason for that. The Texas couple was Betty and Colby Landrum. Thank you, Barbara Waite. I appreciate that. Christine, I promise you that I am absolutely a fan of believing in the Bible. There are, however, people that believe that you can't even. I caught so much crap from somebody that used to be on this channel because I was covering a story, and the person said, "You should not research any of that." And I said, "Why am I not researching any of that?" And they said, "It goes against God." I don't believe that God gave me a brain so that I would not look into things. I assure you, though, that I am absolutely 100% on the book. Right? I live. The only reason that I'm sober is because of God, and I promise you, I'm on that. But I will research the hell out of this because if by some chance this is demonic as opposed to anything else, I want the world to know that. I know this for a fact. Roswell was real. Something happened there. I promise you something happened. If you ever want a great read, I mean, you want to read a great book, read the 24 hours after Roswell, or maybe it's the 48 hours after Roswell. This brings back memories of listening to Art Bell all night long. Best interviewer ever. I was a big fan of Art Bell. That would be Coast to Coast AM. He used to be broadcasting from Pahrump, Nevada. Unfortunately, drugs took him, right? Oh, Christine, what a cool thing to say. I appreciate that. Tommy, your wife Reese is so lucky to have you. Oh, no. That's a kind thing to say, but I won the lottery on that one. She, yes, you do need to get to Ecuador. I was shopping for a place for me and Reese to hang out in Ecuador. Researching is a blast. I researched my dog's poop. That's the spirit. That is the spirit. Yeah, I think, here's the thing. I got addicted to the whole research thing by accident. I've told the story before, but the first research thing was The Day After Roswell by Philip J. Corso. Yeah, that may be it right there. That name sounds very, very familiar. Yes, Art Bell driving to Mexico on 395. My kids loved staying up and listening to the trips. When I was in prison, I did my time by sleeping during the day. This because I spent a lot of time in the segregated housing unit. I hit a police officer. Not one of my better decisions. I punched a cop in the face, and it was justified to beat hell, but it doesn't really matter. So I hit this guy in the face, and they sent me to the SHU where I did basically the next 5 years, right, in the segregated housing unit. And I would sleep all day long, and I would stay up and listen to Coast to Coast. Now, that was post Art Bell. That's the George Norrie, but loved it. When I was a kid, I knew an old man who was a rancher in Roswell. The old man was there. He talked about it. He never lied. Would that rancher be Mac Brazel, right? Wasn't that the rancher's name, Mac Brazel? Yeah, Coast to Coast is still on, and they still kill it. In fact, with no disrespect, Art Bell was the GOAT, right? He was the greatest of all time. He really was. He was one of the first people to let someone come on, and no matter how crazy anything that someone said, he did not ever go, "Oh, come on." He just let people talk and tell their stories, and then he let the audience decide. It was fascinating. But when George Norrie took over, they've kind of focused it a little bit more, and you don't get as many of the stuff that just seems almost ridiculous. And George Knapp, there's a couple of really great guys on there. And one of the funniest times, the hardest I've ever laughed, is they have a call-in show where they let people call in and tell anything. And this guy called in and started describing how he, on Thanksgiving, somebody came to the table that the family invited in, and the guy was glowing green from head to toe. And it just continued to go, right? We never went to the moon. Okay. We'll agree to disagree on that one. What's that? Yeah, the best Art Bell interview was about the hole. Absolutely. So I remember that like it was yesterday. There was a hole in the earth that just went down forever, and they had dropped, can't remember what it was, but it was like a mile of line into it, and they still couldn't find the bottom. But this guy was talking about how this person sitting at the table was glowing green, and the story went on for about 15 minutes, and he's asking these questions and going, "Wow, this is so amazing." He goes, "By way of full disclosure, I had eaten about a half an ounce of mushrooms that day." And he wasn't doing it as a punchline to be funny, but it floored the host. And he started losing his shit laughing. And I was in a cell that only was supposed to have 2 people in it, in the shoe, but there was 4 of us in there. Mel's Hole. I think that may be what it was called, Jerry Ellen. But it went down forever and ever and ever. And people would go up and throw refrigerators in it or any kind of trash they had. They would just toss it in there, and it never seemed to fill. We haven't listened to Coast in a good while. Well, you really should. See, we got some fans here. We got some people that watch. I mean, that listen rather. Mel's Hole and Madman, like Mike Markham. Yeah, awesome shows. Although Mel's Hole was not true, it wasn't. And look, there was a lot of those. You remember the guy that came from the future? What the hell was his name? There was a guy that supposedly had come from the future, and they were great shows. I mean, they weren't real, but it was a hell of a lot of fun. No, it didn't exist. It was a fun show to listen to, though. It was a great show to listen to. One of the first things I looked up when I got out of prison was Mel's Hole. If you want to know the truth, that was one of the first things that I tried to research. But when I was in prison, I was in a unit where they delivered to me somebody else's Freedom of Information Act, and it was MK Ultra. And I had always shit on everybody that brought it up. I'm like, oh, for the love of God, right? MK Ultra. But it was real. And once you find out the first one of those, it's that red pill moment where you go, I've been lied to. Bottom line, right? They lied to me. And once somebody lies to you, this is why you never cheat on your wife. And this is why you never lie to your wife. Because the first time that you do, everything else that you say, they're going to go, well, they lied about this, right? It's not worth it. Edward Leeds Casson, Coral Castle, very interesting subject. Maybe he figured out how they built the pyramids. Tommy, you will have to do a show on this. I love the pyramid mystery. This may blow you away, but I've been to Coral Castle. It's in Florida. And the guy allegedly built the entire thing by himself. And the size of the rocks that he moved in there, and they have I don't know if it's still, if you're still able to go and do it, but there is this massive stone block that you could put one finger on like this and it would move. He had it on a hinge, and I don't know how he did it, but you could move it with a finger. Is the shoe in federal similar to the hole in county? Yeah, you don't get anything. You're not allowed to have any amenities, right? In some places, they'll let you have a little pocket radio. Other than that, you have nothing. It's just a bummer. It's not a fun place to be. The Coral Castle is fantastic. It is definitely, if you ever get a chance to go and see it, it's worth it. I wouldn't hate a story on the staircase in the woods. You know what? There is an awful lot we could do. I should do a coast to coast greatest hits. I know who was in the Bigfoot film, but is sworn to secrecy. He was a Mormon. That's all I can say. Are you referring to the Patterson film? Because apparently this has just been debunked. But let's be honest, I've gotten a little far afield. Where we started on this was the general. Do I think the general was kidnapped? I think that the general knew more about really heavy-duty military stuff vis-a-vis space, things like the Star Wars program. Remember that Ronald Reagan was trying to build, where we could shoot missiles out of the sky. Well, that evolved. What a great looking cat, Caroline in Canada. I listened to art for decades, but the best shows are the Ghost to Ghost. Yeah, you're right. Those were pretty cool. Did he commit suicide? That's a decent theory. It really is. But I think the abduction theory might make sense. Do you realize what a payoff it would be for any country that could get a hold of this guy? He has a doctorate from MIT, and he knows more about weapon systems. He helped hire the people that designed them. He was inside of all of this. $4 billion R&D budget for our biggest and heaviest duty kind of weaponry. So if you think about what we're doing right now in Iran, when they shoot missiles to come in, we pull them out of space. It's literally using math to hit a bullet with a bullet. And for the longest time, this was thought to be absolute bullshit, right? Just that there's no chance that could happen. This is the guy that put all of that together. So I would imagine for any country that could snatch him up, that would be a great thing. But as the retired police officer said earlier in the chat, he took his wallet and he took his revolver. That does sound like something that that you could do because you wanted to take your own life. You take the wallet because they're going to be able to identify you, and you take the pistol because that's how you're going to take yourself out. However, they are searching the hell out of that place, right? They're using drones, they're using dogs, they're using horses. They're doing everything that we wish that they had done, right? With the Nancy Guthrie case. And you're right, Reese is fantastic. She does that for a lot of people. If you've never checked out her channel, you really ought to. We talked all night on doom scrolling with Sam Tripoli about Bumfardo, in case anyone cares. Well, thank you, Legal Eyes. The general was a friggin' genius. His head was full of 40 years of military industrial secrets. Yeah, and I'm not talking about like run-of-the-mill stuff. This is, of course, I'm familiar with Linda Moulton Howell. She's been on the cutting edge of all of these subjects for a gazillion years, right? Seriously. She testified in Congress. If you've never seen the clip of film of her doing that, she's wearing a beret, and she was a little girl. And now she is a grown lady, has remained just a beautiful human being. I love Linda Moulton Howell. She's fun to listen to, super intelligent, does great research. She lives in Albuquerque, and I believe is where the general lives. Yes. Any thoughts on how hard it would be finding him in that hiking area if he was unalived? So if he committed suicide, there you go, Johnny Scoville. That's when those the free speech people keep it alive. If he committed suicide, I would imagine that what we're going to see, and it's not pleasant, but whenever somebody kills themselves and searchers are looking for them, it's carrion birds, it's vultures, right? The things that you see, because people always go, no, the bears would eat them or the coyotes would eat them. They will pick bodies apart, but to get it down to nothingness, God designed a bird that only eats dead things, right? Those carrion birds will show up and pick a carcass clean, and they circle above head. So I think there's a decent chance if his body was out there, especially because right now it is hotter than it normally has been there. It's throwing off the thermal imaging that they're using with the drones and the helicopters. So I think we would probably be seeing vultures. Could be wrong, but I think that's, from a critical thinking standpoint, I think that makes sense. But we're also talking about a big area, right? Maybe he didn't want to be found. But again, I don't know. This is a very difficult case because there doesn't seem to be squat for evidence, right? Obviously, when you find a sweatshirt that says Air Force on it, if it's not his, it sure as hell should be, right? This guy was a big deal in the Air Force. Now, they can't verify that it's his or not because, well, most Air Force sweatshirts are going to look a lot alike. Unboxing with Lori, thank you. It is a crazy world, is it not? Linda Moulton Howell is awesome. Yeah, she really is. And she's worked her ass off for so long. Oh, you know what? What a beautiful thing to say. You're a great, great woman, Reese. I love you. What a kind thing to say. If he were going to kill himself, and that's why he took the gun and his wallet so they could identify him, then I wouldn't think it would be hard to find him because he would want to be found. Jerry Allen, I don't know if you watched me sort of wrestle with that as I was saying it, but I don't think there would be any reason that he wouldn't want to be found. And this may sound awful. I can't believe this general was not chipped. That's actually not that funny a thing to say. The family member who was in command sergeant major in the 101st Air Force did a lot of black ops. He was chipped. And you feel like they should be, right? This is a guy that, again, this is a lifetime of experience, and he's no dolt. This guy everybody knows that what MIT is, right? They don't have a lot of dim-witted people in MIT. But to get in there and get the doctorate that he got, this guy's sharp as a tack. He's also in ridiculous physical condition, right? This guy would kick my ass, and I'm a lot younger than he is. I don't think he killed himself. Well, this is going to sound awful, right? And I'm going to catch hell from this. But it is an Air Force town, Lisa Palmer. That's a good point. I will probably catch hell for this. But I always have a hard time believing that people that are that intelligent take their own lives. And I know that people are going to shit on me and they're going to go, so-and-so, this person was super intelligent. They took their own life. But I don't think people with IQs like this guy has. I think that they're so in love with acquiring knowledge. And I think that they probably spent a lot of time thinking about what suicide does to the people that you leave behind. It is a vicious, vicious thing. It doesn't make any problems go away, right? You just pass them on to somebody else while you leave. And I would be shocked if somebody like this took their own life. But Sam's mom, so glad you were talking about this. I was hoping you would. I'm so glad I discovered the lifeboat. Well, we're pretty damn happy that you discovered the lifeboat too. Yes, Ryan, I was just saying that. It's she went missing in 2025. And that to me seems really odd. Do they think possibly? Go ahead, Johnny. Do they think possibly another country might have snatched him, maybe tricked him to meet up with them and then poof, gone? I've not heard anybody say that, Alicia, but to me, that kind of makes sense. Heather, whatever. I hope they find him too. I really do. And thank you for keeping free speech alive. It means the world to me. It really does make a difference. It's so much. You can't imagine how little fun it is when you have to go, did he go out and unalive himself? Did he bring the pew pew and bring cartridges for the pew pew so that he can unalive himself? Holy hell, is that what we've come to? So we've decided that he didn't commit suicide. So maybe they made him take his wallet so that they could prove it was him whenever they were just taking him. Yeah, maybe, but they wouldn't make him take a pistol, right? They wouldn't make him take a gun. If he's carrying a revolver, maybe he knew he was going out to meet someone that scared the crap out of him, or maybe he thought there were people following him. It's kind of hard to tell. Again, I do like to hearken back to what his wife said. I'm kind of blown away, right? I'm kind of blown away that the wife said, hey, he didn't know anything about debris or alien bodies at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. What? Right? That just seems like something that probably shouldn't have been said. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's kind of fascinating, but it does not make a lot of sense to me. But I do think that it is. Oh no, am I freezing up on you, Jeannie Hansen? I hope not. But no phone, and no wearable devices. Like this guy obviously had a smartwatch. He had, and more than that, maybe glasses. But you don't take your eyeglasses. This is a guy that needed eyeglasses to see. Right? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's back. Good. I got a 5x5 then. Was it his doctor's appointment or his wife's? It was his wife's. His wife, and there is one person that saw him. There was somebody that came out to the house to do work, and he saw that person, but that person has been interrogated. He did not want to be tracked, cowboy logic. That's pretty decent logic, right? It doesn't look like he wanted to be tracked. So he couldn't be tracked, and glasses so he couldn't see. Well, they made him take a gun so it looked like a suicide. Maybe, or maybe they snatched the gun, right? Maybe they took the gun so that would look that way. Maybe he took the revolver if Ellen DeGeneres was in town. He may be afraid she had her dehydrator and some jerky seasoning. Yeah, by the way, I am. That show is coming up, I promise you. Looper, as in pro jock, jump ship in Hong Kong. Looper, pro jock. His name is General William Neil McCaslin. He is a retired lieutenant general from the Air Force who also had a degree from MIT. He oversaw a part of our Air Force that did most of the really high-tech technology from the military in space. And the $4 billion annual budget, 10,000 people working for him. This guy knows, figuratively speaking, where all of the bodies are buried when it comes to this kind of technology. Yes, Tim Trimble, it was so the wife left for her doctor's appointment, and when she came back, he was missing. Let me give you the timeline on that. And just for yits and giggles, he's 5'11", so he's not a small guy, but he's in great shape. 5'11" and 160 pounds. which is pretty wild. 68 years old. That's in really good shape. This is a great question. And you know what? I never would have thought about it if someone else didn't say it. Why do we choose? Yeah, if someone else hadn't said that, I don't know that that I would have. You have a raging crush on me? Boy, that pays off. I'm telling you what. If your wife doesn't have a crush on you, life sucks. Whitley Strieber has a program on him this week. Interesting. The wife didn't go to the doctor's appointment, was secretly burying him in the basement. Jerry Ellen, it's as good a theory at this point as anyone. A lot of mill contractors in Ohio around Wright-Patterson. Yeah, a lot of military stuff around Wright-Patterson. Thought Criminal says, I think it's a suicide, but I also remember Dr. David Kelly in Scotland. Well played. Who they say killed himself over the weapons of mass destruction claim in Iraq. He was a weapons inspector for the UN, if you recall him. I do. It's absolutely a great tie-in. It does stink. It absolutely stinks, especially in this day and age, right? This guy didn't live in a neighborhood that's like the Catalina foothills. So you're going to tell me we don't have him anywhere on film? Like, this seems really odd to me. And there are a lot of people that are saying, well, the aliens came and got him, right? He worked with alien intelligence at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, I'm not giving any credence to that, but I'm telling you that the longer that this drags on and we see nothing from this guy, you're going to hear more and more and more of that, because this is a community of people that believe. I mean, if you already believe that aliens exist and that they're here and that they're living among us or whatever, because there's different segments within the ufology community. But if you already believe this and you're all in, then them coming to snatch him makes a lot of sense. Or maybe he willingly went with the craft because he was done with this planet. Don't send me hate mail. I'm just telling you, these are theories that we're going to be hearing from a lot of people. And I'm ready to get chipped. I'm also ready to be stuffed. Reese is stuffing me, Do you really think he would be useful to someone after 13 years away from the game? Times have changed and technology has changed. In that game, 13 years is an eternity. I think that that's a great comment. However, we don't know. And so as a great example, they pull into the Straits of Hormuz and we have a beam of light that can come off of one of those ships, right? No one else does. Now, I would guess that they were working on that thing 13 years ago. They're seeing technology out of us because unless you're going to war on the regular, there's a lot of technology out there that our enemies haven't seen that we have. And I bet they would be fascinated to get a guy like him. I also think that just on the outside chance that he really saw some heavy shit at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, that's the kind of information that I think other people would want as well. But it's a very intelligent comment. Now's the time. It really is. Yes. This, however, admittedly, right, in the press conference that they did yesterday, they admitted that that they said that so that the silver alert would be hyped to another level. Because silver alerts, when you say somebody is having mental issues, it changes how that alert goes out. It changes the amount of boots on the ground and all of that shit. If it's a walk away, if it's somebody that has Alzheimer's or somebody that has dementia, you get a much different response. And they admit that they basically clouded that up. In yesterday's conversation, in press conference rather, he said if the doctor was in the room right now, the general, he'd be the smartest person in the room. He's still sharp as a tack. He feels like he's lost a step or two. And when you have that kind of brain, I'm no genius, but I used to have a memory that would scare the shit out of you. I once memorized the first chapter of Moby Dick on a bet. Swear to God. And after too many shots to the head, I know that I've lost a lot of that. And I've lost a lot of my ability to stay focused. It doesn't mean that I feel stupid in any way. I just feel like I'm not what I used to be. And for someone like him, I think it's one of the reasons that he backed away from what he was doing because he could still be working at 68. His life and circumstances don't really support runaway or suicide. I just think it's more having to do with his knowledge of government stuff. Alicia, I happen to think that this is a pretty solid theory. I happen to think that this is a pretty solid theory. And the reason that I think that is, we're talking about a guy that, this is a lifetime of knowledge gained. $4.4 billion that you're spending, that's a hell of a lot of American cash to be spending on research and development on heavy duty weapon systems that are in space, right? That a lot of our enemies aren't going to be working with. Cowboy Logic says, I am 66. I'm 6'1", 190 pounds, excellent health and sound mind. I do not believe he killed himself. The suicide thing, I just don't. No phone is fishy, says Tim Trimble. By the way, Cowboy Logic, just a little side note. I read all the James Bond books, the original ones. There we go. I hope I didn't lose too many of you. I apologize. I swear to you, it's YouTube. It isn't here. My upload speed right now is 930 megabits per second. Anyway, do I think we're going toward disclosure? I do. And I think we're going toward disclosure. If you just want me to be 100% honest, and some of you are going to freak out, but I believe that we're going toward disclosure because I happen to believe that we're coming to the end times on this planet and that they're going to have to explain a lot of stuff and they're going to use aliens to explain it, right? There was a time in this country where a lot of people believed that aliens had been here and that we had been visited, and the government told us that was all bullshit. Now the government is telling us that there we go. How about that? Oh, I'm sorry, but that's funny. I don't care who you are. Come on, people. We can still have a sense of humor. And if we can't, it's just not worth doing anymore. Wow, am I behind? Tommy, I've seen like 200 aliens at night, lots of strange lights, and they were way out in the middle of a farm field. Boy, they could really pick some cabbage faster than any USA citizen I've ever seen. Good, 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 good. Who sucks? Yes, absolutely. There are very few cultures that do not talk about people that visited from outer space and came from another planet. And the Native Americans are no different. There's a lot of lore. Correct. I do not freeze up like that when I'm around Reese. And you know something? It's just going to keep happening. So this is a subject we're going to continue to talk about. However, I'm going to start doing a tinfoil hat deal. Hey, guess what? There we go. D-Lyn, we're on the same page. I do believe that if we're right and the second coming happens, they're going to have to explain where a bunch of people disappeared all at once.
bye.